Hey crafty cuties, welcome back to Paper Terrace. If you're new, my name's Jessica, and today we are going to use up lots of scraps. I also have some lace. I have a stamp set that has just some like random numbers that we're going to use to create little labels. But if you don't have these, you can also use up like, let's see, like for instance, if you have already pre-made labels, go ahead and grab those out. I'll grab a few, but I'm going to try to just mostly use up my scraps. So we have these, but so yeah, we're going to just call these lace and label embellishments, something like that. So I just already grabbed, I have so many scraps, but I just grabbed a handful because I have so much. And we'll get started by making the little cluster. Actually, no, sorry. Let's go ahead and stamp some things out first. And I got this stamp set from Temu for, a couple dollars. And I've already used it for some other things. Really like it. It just has the basic stamps that are fun for junk journaling. So I'm going to grab just a couple of the number ones, I think. Let's see. Could do one of these. The little tickets and things are fun too, but I think for these ones I'm just going to stick to the more generic ones. So we'll start out by just stamping on some of this craft paper that I have, but you can get creative with what you're going to be stamping on. So to start out, I'll just do a few like of the same one. These stamp out so good too. And I just realized you couldn't really see. At least I figured it out now. Okay, do that. And I can use the other side. Let's use one of the others. You could use colored ink as well. I'm kind of curious if I stamped on vellum, what that would look like. These all have like images and things, but let's just try it anyways. Okay, actually that stamps out pretty dark, so we'll go with it. And I'm just gonna tear these off. You could cut them and make them look a little bit nicer, but I think I like the more torn look anyways. Let's see. We could also stamp on, let's just use some little coffee dyed paper. Oops, that's upside down, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we'll just print out, or sorry, we'll stamp out a couple more and then we'll get to making clusters. I guess we'll do one more of this like more big label. All right. You know what? Why don't we actually, just in case you are wanting to use up your actually pre-made labels, I'll stamp on a few of those as well. Perfect size, Will. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and close up our ink so it doesn't dry out. We'll go ahead and put our stamps back because I guarantee these will get mixed up in our scraps if we don't. There's that one. There's that one. My hands are getting all inked up. And there we go. All right. So we'll set that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and just, like I said, you can cut yours if you want, but I am going to tear, and I'm gonna keep trying to remember to be in the frame. In fact, I could bring it back just a little bit. My desk is such a mess, you guys. Like, I have ink and everything all over it, and I guess this probably isn't gonna help because it's all over my fingers too. Now, my goal is not to make these too big. I do want these embellishments to be a little bit on the smaller side. I did just recently make some larger embellishments. I'm kind of curious, I know this ink will dry on vellum, but it might not be dry yet, so I don't really want to smear ink everywhere, so we'll just cut one of those for now. There we go. Ink everywhere. All right, so the next part is going to be super easy. We're just going to start by layering up. In fact, I'll do this kind of my old style where I'll make kind of like an assembly line. So I'll make a few at once, and they're all going to be a little bit different size. So we'll start with the base. I'm going to have it be paper or book page, doesn't matter. We will just want to make sure that the overall piece is big enough for our labels that we just stamped out. Oh boy. My dog is barking at something, of course. Okay, bring these up. Oh gosh. Well, are you gonna stop or not? Okay, so the fun part is layering these up. With lots of layers, so I'm mostly just going to be using the paper, and then I have lace, but use different textures, mix and match colors, tell your dog to stop barking. And I'm just going to kind of play around with it. Use some graph paper. Now I'm going to staple mine just for ease of the video, and I like adding the staple as an extra little detail, but you could sew these and that would be really cute. We use some Edith Holden paper, and it's up to you how many layers you want. Okay, but now I'm going to add the lace, and then the label will go like on top. So I'm just going to pile these on, and as I get to each one, that's when I can situate them to be how I want them to be. Right before we staple them together. You could use glue as well if you don't like staples. I just want a little piece of each layer to peek through. So let's see, we have like a thin lace here, so you'll just want to make sure that that's peeking through. It's going to be easier to see the bigger pieces of lace, of course. So for that, I might layer it underneath one of the papers. Let's see here. That's kind of a big piece, so let's trim that down a little bit. And I did even just grab lace scraps as well. Okay, so now we can go ahead and finalize our little clusters. So now I'm just going to kind of hold everything together. Where did my stapler go? It might be easier to staple as you go, so put one on one side to hold that lace down at least, because it wants to curl. And another thing, if you want to just go ahead and staple most of your cluster together, and then you could glue this on if you're maybe someone that doesn't love the if you don't love the staple look, but you know, it's convenient to use them. So you could do that. And then you really can't tell, but again, since I don't mind, I'm gonna staple on each side. Fun. Okay, that's a good amount of layers, I think. So I have about 3 layers, and then with the label 4. So for me, that's good, but you can always add more. And this is just going to be a really good way to use up your scraps. But I have a couple other ideas, so I will have more videos coming for those ideas soon too. Because my scrap bin, you guys, is just overflowing. Well, I don't even have just one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 paper scrap bins. Let's use the vellum. Ooh, that's gonna look really cool with the blue lace. I'm using a new camera, so I'm kind of forgetting that I think it tries to focus on one thing. I might have to play around with the settings because I'm hoping that it's not going out of focus for you guys, but feel free to let me know in the comments if you notice anything that's not working. Earlier my lighting was awful, but that's just because it's a gloomy day, so I don't think it was the camera. But yeah, let me know how the sound is, all of that. Let's use one with the little pre-made label here. I always love a nice Tim Holtz label. Okay, let's make one more. I feel like this one could use another layer of paper, so we'll do a shorter one like that. Yeah. And then we'll find a bigger piece like that. I really like how these are turning out. I do think they would look really awesome sewn, and I'll probably end up making a little batch later because these are so quick and easy to make. And if you're wondering how I would use these, let me just go ahead and take a signature real quick that I'm working on. So first of all, so this is like a little glassine bag here. So one thing is you could take one of these and put it on the top or the bottom. I'm going to keep these rather plain, but remember we can always add to them once you use them in your journal. So you can add a little flower embellishment, a butterfly. Those are just things that I would probably use. So we could do something like that. Let's see here. This is a bigger embellishment idea coming soon if it's not already up. You could put it down on the bottom here just as an extra little touch so you don't have such a blank page, but you still have access to most of that page. You have some pockets, you could just put it on one of the pockets, and again, just to add a little extra something. Or you could also just use it on the edge of a page and just kind of glue it on 3 of the sides to make it a little tuck spot. Since these are smaller, if I were going to do that, I probably would take another piece of paper that was a little bit bigger, put it on the corner, and then I would put this on top. So I kind of like keeping them smaller because you have a little bit more flexibility with how you're going to use them in your journal. Sometimes I like bigger embellishments pre-made up so that they can just, they're ready to go. But again, this gives me a little bit more flexibility. And yeah, so, and I think the numbers is kind of fun because it's, again, it's generic. It's going to go with any theme. I hope that you guys liked this idea to use up your scraps, and feel free to leave me any comments down below, and I will see you guys very soon. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.